Joe Hopkins here, and today I'm asking the question, do records sound better? Because I've heard that from people. Records just sound better, right? So I hadn't really listened to records much for a lot of years. I didn't have a record player. And then my wife bought me a record player for Christmas, like one of them cheap little suitcase ones. You open up. I plugged it into my old stereo system. I have an old stereo system, so it's all pretty, old school kind of stuff. I broke out my old record collection and started listening to it, right? Which is cool, because I did a video about this before, how there's a lot of stuff that was on record that you can find on record that doesn't exist on streaming. It's stuff that maybe didn't stand the test of time, but it's still good music. You can find old records of all kinds of stuff. So then for my birthday, my wife bought me records, right? Let's see what we got here. We got, they're new music, or the records are new. She bought them new, but most of them are old albums, like Fleetwood Mac, Stevie Wonder, Jimi Hendrix, good stuff, She did get me one newer band, no doubt, right? All the rest of this is older stuff. The Jackson 5, get some old Motown in there. The Eagles' greatest hits. Good stuff generally. And I was listening, obviously, turned on the record player, was listening to some music on record. And I noticed I'd never really thought to compare that much. Do records sound better? Back when I used to listen to records and tapes and CDs, back when they were all out at the same time, and I'd listen to this stuff, and I never really thought much about it. It's just I have some music on record, and some of it I have on cassette, and some of it I have on CD, and it's all music. But I was really thinking about it this time. Do records sound better? I came to the conclusion, yes, sometimes. And the reason why, and I want to know what you guys think, if you agree or not, I was thinking about it. I think, take, for instance, Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced, right? The Jimi Hendrix Experience. This album originally came out on record. It was recorded with record in mind. And when I listen to it on record, it sounds way different than it does on CD or streaming. Any form of digital music. And I was thinking, why is that? And I think it's because it was recorded for record. And I think it does sound better on record. I think it sounds better on record than it does digitally. And I don't think it's anything inherent about records and record players. I do think you are going to get a different sound from a record player on a record, because it is a physical thing. You know what I mean? You actually have a needle reading grooves. It's all physically creating the sound that's then being projected through the speakers, and it's going to be different than it would be on digital music, obviously. I don't really think digital music, stuff that was recorded in a more modern way, would necessarily sound better on record. I've heard some of it, some of the newer music on record, I don't think it necessarily sounds better, just different. But I do think this older stuff does sound better on record, and I think it's because when it was recorded and mixed and mastered and everything done with record in mind. I think that has something to do with it. I do think some music sounds better on record, or at least better in certain ways. You know what I mean? I was listening to this, and also like Fleetwood Mac and Stevie Wonder, and it sounds more authentic in a certain way. And I know that sounds a bit pretentious, but I don't think it is pretentious. I don't think that's false. I think, like I said, this was recorded to be on record. The whole idea, it had, this was the medium for music, and when they recorded, mixed, mastered, did the whole thing, everything they were doing was with this in mind. And it makes it to where I think this feels more, like I said, authentic, more like this is the way this was meant to be listened to, because this is the way this music was meant to be listened to. Now, if you get the newest album by Billie Eilish, and they're putting a lot of stuff on vinyl, I really should probably get more like newer music and see how does it sound on record compared to digital. Because this is music that was designed to be made for a digital medium. You know what I mean? There was a short period of time in the late 80s and early 90s when they were recording music with the idea of putting it out on record and CD, you know? But very quickly that went by the wayside. It became digital was the whole point. Now streaming is the big thing. That's what they have in mind. It might be an interesting idea to listen to some of the music that was done on CD. Is there a difference between CD and streaming? You know, I wouldn't think there'd be a huge difference with that because it's all digital. But I can tell the difference. I think most people, if you really listen, can tell the difference between when they stopped recording stuff to tape and started doing it more on computers, more on DAWs. Like through the 90s, that's where that changeover, 90s and early 2000s, that changeover started taking place, where people stopped recording on tape and started recording directly to a digital medium. And it's digital from the beginning to the end, right? Recorded digitally to be released digitally. Yeah, there's a change there. You can hear the difference. You can hear the stuff that was recorded on analog equipment and then put out on a digital medium, on CD, which was the case for stuff in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. They started, CDs got big, and here you're still recording on analog equipment, but you're releasing on a digital medium. And I think you can hear the difference, but it's just the difference is striking. For instance, I was listening to Rumors, Fleetwood Mac, on record the other day, and I was realizing that there's a lot of stuff in here, because I've listened to this album on CD, I've listened to it on streaming. There's stuff in this that I didn't catch. I didn't hear on those other mediums, and you play it on record, and certain things come through way better. And I thought, man, this sounds a lot better. This one even more than some of the others. This one sounds way better on record. And that's what got me to thinking about that. Are records better? And I'm thinking, no, I don't think they're better, but I think this was supposed to be on record. It was recorded with this in mind. It was mixed with this in mind. And there's stuff that you don't notice on the digital recordings, but you do when you play it on record. The same thing with Jimi Hendrix. There's a lot of stuff on here that I didn't notice, right? Little nuances and stuff in the mix that I didn't notice on digital recording, but you notice it on record. You know what I mean? I think music that was meant to be on record maybe should be listened to on record. You catch more. And that's not to put down streaming. Obviously, records and record players aren't the most portable thing in the world. Streaming is the most portable thing you have. You already have your phone. It's on there. You can listen to it anywhere. It makes sense. But it is also nice to own music too, not just stream it, because then if you don't have cell signal, you can still listen to your music on CD or record, which, you know, it is interesting to make the comparison. And I'd recommend try it. If you have a record player, get an album like that was meant to be on record, like what I did with Fleetwood Mac. Listen to it, and then listen to it on streaming. Listen to it on streaming first, and go back and listen to the record, and see if you don't catch more. There's more in there. A lot of the vocals come through differently, like way differently. The mix is so different, and it shouldn't be. It's the same thing. It's the same song. Now, of course, a lot of older music that's released now has been remastered, and it is going to sound a little bit different. But yeah, I find it interesting to listen to this music on the original medium. It's just, yeah, I'd like to know what you guys think. It just seems more like more. It's not just different, there's more. You catch more. And that really kind of blew my mind. I wasn't expecting that. Like I said, I hadn't listened to records in a long time because I didn't have a record player. And then my wife gets me one, and I'm noticing this stuff way more than I used to. And it's just an interesting thought that I'm putting out there. I would like to know what you guys think. If you want to make a comment down there, let me know. Do you think records sound better or just different? Because I really get the impression that newer music that was recorded to be released on streaming, I think it probably sounds best on the medium it was designed for. And I think the same about records. They were designed for record. It should be on record, right? Or at least available on record. I like that you can buy these old records again. Now that I got a record player again, I got to go out and get a copy of Purple Rain. That was, yeah, I love Prince. Yeah. There's some others that I'm probably going to get at some point, right? But yeah, tell me what you think. And dude, I'll see you guys in the next video, all right? I love y'all. Peace out, baby. Bye-bye.